I've moved inside because frankly it is 0 degrees outside and only reading about 2 degrees in the shed with the heater on, so I'm just getting over my winter cold, so I don't really want to exacerbate that by sitting out there for any length of time. So what I've done is I've removed the bad backgammon board pieces from here and then sanded it back flat, so I've got a number of spots that need filling before I can repaint, but that's gonna happen anyway. So, and this time around I'm going to use my premix filler because I frankly can't be bothered to go and dig out the other one. So this is obviously one colour, so I have to bring the colour down slightly with some very thin paint before I do any kind of finishing. Okay, so these are small gloves and my hands are very big, so it always makes it a little bit more difficult. Right, so I've trimmed back the edging here. Some of this chipped off as I was doing that, so I need to cover some of those as well. So here goes. I haven't got very much of this left, but hopefully it should be enough to do what needs doing here. Start by just rubbing it onto this surface here so it falls into these gaps. I used a bit of damp tissue or damp kitchen roll to kind of soak it a bit and loosen it before I took it off. And on this side I started with my standy blade, which was just kind of chipping out more wood, and then I changed to my filler spreader thing, and that seemed to work a lot better. So that side's only got very small gaps that need filling, whereas this one's got quite large ones, so don't use a blade that's got an edge if you're doing this kind of thing. It doesn't have to be perfectly filled, as long as the really deep ones are covered, then when I paint it again that should be fine. I can always go over it again if I really need to add more filler. That's like done. In a slightly different angle you can see there are some spots I missed. Make sure I get into that corner. I've only really got a couple of patches that need going over, so I'll focus on those more. Okay, so I've had another go with the sandpaper. Let's try and get rid of some of this filler. It's fairly difficult because I've got all the grains going in different directions to try and get it out of one set of grain and not into another. Future reference, stick to one type of filler, but I'm not sure if I could have actually cut and mixed a batch that would have been the same colour second time round. Oh, that's as good as I'm going to get it. What I'm going to do is do a bit of coffee staining. So here I've got a cup of pretty much cold, really very strong coffee. Looks evil. I'm not a coffee drinker normally. So I'm just going to use a bit of kitchen roll just to dab it on and hope that's going to help to bring down the filler a bit more. I've noticed that there are more chips coming out, I think because I'm sanding too much, so I'm destabilising the whole thing. So I'm going to do this and then not sand it before I put the first layer of finish on. Maybe a bad idea, but I think that first layer should hopefully protect it. At least that's the plan. This isn't espresso or anything, it's just standard freeze-dried coffee mix. So I'm not sure if that's going to be any better or worse in terms of the stain, but we shall see. I'm just being particular about the areas where there is white filler, so hopefully that might encourage it to go in a bit more. If it keeps this kind of tone, that would be quite nice actually. It's quite a warm shade. Might end up doing this a couple of times just to get the stain in a bit more, because I think a lot of the things I've seen using kind of non-standard wood stain, they do a couple of layers to build up the colour. So I want to do that without kind of destabilising any more of these pieces. Particularly get it where it's level. I want this to run in anyway. Okay, that should about do it. So I've got the sponge brush, which was a wide one I've had to cut down because I've run out of smaller ones. So just a quick dab in and first work around the sides. Okay, so I'm moving on to sorting out my chess pieces, and what I've done is I've screwed in 3 small screws into the bottom so that when I put the finish on it will just drain off and won't stick to anything at the bottom here. So what I'm doing is I'm going around all of these veneer edges and just kind of snapping off any loose bits. There are some that are still kind of hanging on now. And now I've got my pyrography tool. I'm taking that over all of these naked edges, as it were, and just burning down. And that's taking off all the splintery bits of veneer and also matching the colour to bare bits of wood. So I'm doing that all the way around on all of these pieces. So that's helping to get all the veneer flush to the wood and give everything a kind of a finished edge. So I shouldn't need to do any more sanding on these. That's that. I'm just going to leave that turned upside down just to set and put the brush aside because I'm not going to be using that again. Now moving on to my pieces here, my chess pieces. And what I've done is I've added some extra detail on some of the kind of more character ones, and I've put 3 screws in the bottom here so that they'll sit slightly raised from the surface so that they shouldn't hopefully glue themselves to the plastic. And I'm using my offcuts of foam brush rather than wasting a brush really. So I'm giving these a fairly thin coat just so again it's all stabilised and sealed in, making sure to get into all the cracks and whatnot as I go. Especially under his chin, like that. So simple single coat which I can sand back once that's set. So if I have any of the resin left here, I'm going to pour that inside the lid just to start off that surface. I'm not sure if I will have any, so. Okay, so I'm coming up to the final stages of this project. And I've got, everything is pretty much had its first coat of resin, which has certainly brought out the colours of the wood. These need a sanding down and then the second coat, and so does the box itself. And I also need to sort out what I'm doing on the bottom of that. I haven't done that yet. My top, it's had its first coat and it's really quite soaked in, so that definitely needs sanding back in the second coat. But I'm going to wait until the summer, or at least some decent weather before I do that, because that certainly does affect how the resin comes out. So on the inside of the lid, I've got a thin layer of resin. It was just kind of the ends of what was left after I covered the pieces. So it's not quite level, but it does cover pretty much the whole of the bottom. So as a bottom to my backgammon board, that's perfect. And what I've got here is a whole load of triangles cut out of just some craft card. You can do this with paper, but paper's more likely to kind of wrinkle up and go a bit funny. So I've got long ones which are 1 inch at the base by 6 long, and my shorter ones are 1/2 inch at the base by 4 long. So that's going to give me a nice kind of two-toned effect. So I'm just using normal glue. This is completely set and gone off, so it's not tacky anymore. So I'm not going to be able to finish this until the weather is a little bit more generous, interesting. So I'm going to call this part 3 done, and I'll put an update on this project. Stay where you put. For probably September or August on the report, I think. That'll be about the time I would have got these finished. So all in all, a fairly interesting project. Quite a bit more involved than I thought it would be. I think again I'm still learning, still making rookie mistakes. So you do expect it to be more difficult when you're still learning your trade, as it were. So next month I'll be back to actually doing some scroll sawing at the beginning of the month. So I have a number of projects planned, but I think I'll start with something a bit more traditional than I have done previously. So, as usual, any comments are much appreciated. Any advice, even more so. And I'll see you next week.